So I recently learned that over 73% of our generation report feeling lonely on a regular basis, which is honestly pretty insane. But I've been there too. I mean, we live in a lonely world, in a culture that praises isolation, hard work, and avoiding other people to focus on yourself. And while there is value in this, long term, it causes an inevitable loneliness that we're all feeling today. There's no cure for loneliness. It's a hardwired human emotion. But there are ways that you can improve your situation to make it to where you aren't lonely as often, where you feel like you have a place in the world and aren't some random, silent outcast watching life go by. So if you're wondering why we feel so lonely all the time, let me paint a picture for you. Let's go back to the 1980s, the era that we always hear about how much better it was. Looking at a normal American or Brit or, resident of a developed country, what does a typical day look like? Well, you probably woke up and made breakfast, using ingredients that you bought from the grocery store the day before. Whether you're eating something simple like cereal, or a more complex breakfast with eggs, bacon, and toast, you sat down to craft or curate the food that you're about to put into your body. Maybe you talked to your spouse, whom you'd met by approaching her at the grocery store a few years earlier. Maybe you read the newspaper, or watched it on TV, hosted by a guy from your city, talking about issues in your city. Okay, now it's time for work. You're a bookkeeper for a local business, so you gotta drive to the office and crunch some numbers. On the way to work, you zone out, thinking about all the stuff you have to do today while listening to music on your local radio station, curated by the host of that radio station that you hear every single morning. You love this guy because he's hilarious. Pulling up to the office, you say hi to your coworkers, talking about what you saw in the local news, and after a few minutes, you sit down at your desk and begin writing in your paper general ledger to update all of the company's expenses that were planned over the weekend. And you do this for a bit, fully immersed into your work with no distractions. You don't have a phone going off, you don't have emails going off, it's you, your books, and your coworkers, and that's it. So that's your day, and on your way home, maybe you stop at the bar with your coworkers and chat about random stuff, pay using the cash that you just received from cashing your paycheck at the local bank, and then you head home to eat a home-cooked dinner with your family before maybe watching some TV and going to bed. It sounds like a pretty boring day, and honestly this guy does not have an exciting life by any means, but it's one rooted in reality. There's a physical interaction to the physical world, and people, even when bored, are still a member of their own reality. Okay, so let's compare that to the modern day bookkeeper, and you'll get an idea of why people are feeling so lonely and isolated. You wake up to the sound of your alarm on your phone, check your social media for a little bit, and get out of bed, before you pop your Factor 75 meals that were shipped to your house into the microwave, eating it while watching YouTube videos by random YouTubers who give advice over Minecraft gameplay, and then you sit down at your desk in your room by yourself and load up your accounting software and begin working. You message your coworkers on Slack or Teams or Discord or whatever. You check your phone every 10 minutes to see what some random people you once knew are up to on Instagram. And after a long day of being distracted, checking email, jumping between 10 different things and not interacting with a single person in real life, you sit down on your couch and order food through Uber Eats using the money that you can't see that got direct deposited to your account automatically when you were done with work. You feel alone, so you go on Tinder or Hinge to try to superficially meet a girl whom you know nothing about, except for a 2-sentence bio and 5 pictures, and then you stream Game of Thrones and go to bed and repeat the process tomorrow. Maybe I am glamorizing the past and comparing it to the present in an unrealistic way, which is possible, but you have to see my point here. The reason you feel lonely is because you aren't taking the steps to improve your lifestyle to make you feel less lonely. We are so immersed into a fake artificial world with digital profiles and digital dating and digital food delivery, digital payments. Everything is in this world that doesn't actually exist. Our brains cannot comprehend the digital world. It's not a real thing, and our evolution is not hardwired to understand what exactly that means. In short, the digital world pulls you out of reality. So of course, you don't feel present and you feel lonely in your actual reality. Basically, we're becoming out of touch with the physical world, and that's a huge factor that's causing a lot of people's loneliness. Oh, but what about social media and all of the new tools that are relevant to network and meet new people? Like, it's easier now than ever before to meet people in real life because of social media. Yes, I see your point, but the thing is, you can't use social media as a substitute for real-life socialization. While you may think that messaging someone on Instagram or sending them a video on TikTok or Snapchat is going to constitute socializing, it's not the same thing. Our bodies and souls need to be around other humans. It's just in our DNA. We are a social species, and not socializing with real humans is making you feel more lonely. And these alternatives do not work. In fact, they're probably making you feel even more lonely. We're living our lives at a sprinter's pace, moving on from one thing to the next, one app to the next, one swipe to the next, one DoorDashed food order to the next because we don't feel like cooking. But while doing this, we sacrifice the ability to actually be present in the real physical world that we live in. What I'm saying is that by immersing yourself into your real world, you can decrease the amount of loneliness that you have. It sounds stupid, but to not be lonely, you just need to interact more with other humans. Instead of ordering food, go buy some food and learn to cook. Interact with the ingredients that come from the earth, see the shelves of the grocery store, and interact with the cashier. Even if it's just a novel hello, it's better than sitting at home and not talking to anyone. Instead of using your phone at every single red light in traffic, sit in silence and observe your environment. Maybe you'll notice something that you haven't seen before. Maybe there's a new game store down the road that you haven't ever noticed in 10 years because you always look at your phone. Maybe you'll see a sign for a local group that's looking for new members where you can go and meet new people. Even if not looking at your phone at a red light sounds petty and like it's not actually going to change anything, the point here is becoming more immersed in your own environment. Don't treat people as NPCs. Realize that each of them are human souls who are also looking for connection. Go to a local coffee shop and become a regular so you start seeing the same people and learning their names and becoming a part of your community. I'm telling you, even if you go to grab a to-go coffee because you don't have time to sit around and drink coffee like you're an Italian, that's still a start. You're still going to see the same baristas every day. Maybe you start talking to them. Maybe they think you're cool and they're waiting for you to talk to them. You're never going to know unless you actually get out in the real world. If you like board games or Dungeons and Dragons, go to a local board game store and play with the other people who are also going there to try to meet new people. Chat with your coworkers and try to actually learn more about them, who they are, and what they do for fun. Ask people their names and talk to them. You have to realize that if we all feel lonely, then we're all wanting new friends and acquaintances. You're not the only one who's lonely, so why don't you connect with some of these other lonely people, and remember that people aren't going to think you're weird just because you try to talk to them. Think about it. How often has someone approached you in public and you said, "Wow, why did this guy say, 'Hey, I like your shoes'? That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard." Chances are, you're not going to think that's weird, and in fact, you were probably honored that somebody told you that. So don't overthink it. All I'm saying is that when I cut down my social media time, stopped wearing earbuds in public places, avoided the lazy path and went out to buy the things that I need and cook the food that I need to nourish my body, and started treating my city that I lived in as a sandbox that I could explore, the loneliness went away. Did I meet more people? Not really. I still don't really know that many people in the city that I moved to, but I now feel like I'm becoming a part of my physical environment, and that loneliness has gone away. There's a world of people out there that are all looking for connection just like you, so notice them, and that's the first step towards increasing your chances of a new friendship forming. Until you've claimed that you've tried everything in your power to build new social connections, you can't say that it doesn't work. Just because one guy on Twitter says it's impossible doesn't mean it's true, and until you prove that hypothesis for yourself, you can't say, excuse me, I can't go in public, that doesn't work anymore, because that's just false. Having a pessimistic attitude isn't going to cure your loneliness, so you might as well try to enjoy the journey, look at it as a self-development exercise, and try to become a part of the real world in the process. Restoring your connection with the physical world is going to make you feel like you are now a part of the physical world. It just makes sense, so at the very least, give it a try, and if it doesn't work, come back and roast me in the comments, but it doesn't hurt to try. That's it for my talk today. I'll talk to you guys next time.